Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Ellechat on getting started with ConvertKit. I'm really excited to have Megan Minns joining me today. She is a Squarespace and ConvertKit expert. I go to her blog posts all the time for help, and she's great. Before I introduce you to Megan and we just dive into the content today on ConvertKit, I just want to make sure that you can see me and hear me okay. We had a little trouble with the sound last week. So in the comments, if you could not only say hello, and I know a lot of people are telling us where they're tuning in from today, which is really fun. Houston, Oklahoma, Nigeria, you guys are awesome. Really fun to see, not only in the States, but worldwide, that you all are tuning in today. But tell me, awesome, you can hear me. Sounds good. Great. Well, for those of you who are new to Ellechat, this is kind of like a weekly TV show of sorts for entrepreneurs. We have episodes coming out live every Thursday. But this is just a time, it's an hour long, it's free for just helpful content for you as a creative business owner. And I love bringing on leaders in the industry to talk about their areas of expertise. And so today I'm thrilled to have Megan on. It seems like you all have already found the comment section, which is awesome. There's also a Q&A section on the screen. It should be right below here. So feel free to go ahead and start asking questions. Look through the questions, vote them up if you really want to see them answered. And we also have a poll right now. There's just one question in there. If you haven't answered it yet, I would love to get your feedback. It says, do you currently use ConvertKit? No one yet has said yes and that they love it. Hopefully by the end of this Ellechat and the more time that you spend using ConvertKit, we'll get a lot more votes there. I love it. Some have said yes, but have no clue what they're doing. Oh, good. We just got some votes that say yes and you love it. It's
Woohoo!
Moving. I know. Woohoo! No, about to make the switch. Mostly some of you are interested in learning more. Some of you say none of the above. Maybe it will change your mind. But anyway, so just feel free to jump in there and leave your feedback. But like I said, I'm really excited to have Megan joining me today. I think I first came across her site with blog posts about Squarespace. She's helped me change my read more link on my page, and I refer tons of people to that post. She's very good at breaking down technical things in a simple way. And I really trust her guidance when it comes to Squarespace and ConvertKit, and I just think she's very refreshing. So welcome, Megan. I'm really excited to have you here today. Thanks for joining me.
Of course. Thank you so much. And what a sweet and lovely introduction. That just kind of made my day. So no, I'm thrilled. You can always find me at meganminns.com. And yeah, I blog about mostly Squarespace and ConvertKit. I focus on all types of systems for your business. So that could be a project management system or maybe a membership site platform. Always trying to just help. And most of it's tech tutorials. That's kind of my zone, sharing my screen, getting all nerdy. So yeah. That's me.
That's awesome. Someone has to do it. For most of us, we don't necessarily love that. So it's nice to have you who does enjoy it and is really good at breaking it down. So just quickly, how did you get started? And how long have you been doing this?
Okay, well, my business has definitely evolved since I first started it. I started it officially in January of 2014. Started taking a few clients a little bit before that, but I actually did branding and design. And I think that's how I first came across you, is because I was looking for, like other designers to help teach me how to be a good designer. And I remember loving your blog posts. And so I started off doing branding and design, got some great clients, spent most of 2014 doing that and loved it. But I was also working full time in human resources. I was coming home and working all night, working all weekend, saying no to social functions. And I just kind of realized that for me, design was something I enjoy doing when it's a hobby. But as soon as I was trying to design for other people, I felt like I was getting a lot, really drained. And that wasn't really utilizing all of my skills to the best of my ability. Right. And so by the end of 2015, is that right? No, 2014, I kind of was realizing I needed to switch it up And I had a good business mentor at the time. It really just a friend, but she'd been in business much longer, and she knew a lot about me and my business. And she kind of asked me what my strengths were. I was like, well, I love systems. I've been making, the technical side of websites since I was 12. Like I am a huge nerd and love organizing and doing stuff like that. And she was like, why, do you feel like you're using that now? And I said, nope, like I don't really use all of that right now. So anyway, she challenged me with possibly being a virtual assistant. And I kind of looked into it and realized it totally suited my needs. And there was a need in the industry for technical support. And so started in 2015, January 2015, just like dropped off design, stopped doing it, switched to doing VA work, got a bunch of clients. Mariah Cause of femtrepreneur.co hired me in the summer of 2015. And we just clicked, and I started doing technical trainings for her courses. I started providing technical support for her students, helping with all of her technical needs as well. Got rid of all my other clients. And then in November, quit my full-time job and had a big old party. So ever since then, I just balance between my own business, meganmins.com, where I focus solely on the technical things, as well as being a part of the Femtrepreneur team and helping run the technical things and help her students out. So that's kind of my whole journey. I know that's a little longer maybe than you wanted, but
no, I love it.
That's just kind of how I've gotten to where I am now.
I love that. And when I talked to Mariah, this was months ago, and we were talking about assistants and just delegating work. And I said, well, how do you handle this? And she said, oh, I just give it to Megan. Megan like, Megan does this, Megan does that. And I'm like, I need Megan. I was a little upset that she'd already nabbed you, but whatever. What can you do? Needless to say, Megan is awesome at systems and very organized. And I think that's why it's going to be so helpful to learn more about ConvertKit from her, because she has a knack for just organizing things. I think that also validates ConvertKit, that she uses it because it's so intuitive and easier to use. So Megan, what did you originally start with before ConvertKit? Because I know ConvertKit is fairly new. So what mail platform did you start with?
Yeah, so I started with MailChimp, which most of you have probably heard of or currently use. That's what I started with. And when I joined Mariah's team, and I might mention Mariah throughout this conversation because her list is exponentially larger than where mine was when, a year ago, and to where it is now. Hers is still just kind of another level. And I feel like talking about ConvertKit, you might have people who are at all different stages. They might be just starting out at zero. They might be more of where I am, or they might be where you or Mariah are. And so I think the idea that this one system can help all of us in the same way is really important to keep in mind. So all that to say, when I joined Mariah's team, she was using MailChimp as well. And we actually made the switch to ConvertKit because of her. She had heard of it. She's been friends with Nathan Barry before and had been kind of keeping her eye on what he was creating. And once we got a hands-on demo of it, we were both like, man, this solves all of the problems. All of the time I was billing Mariah, setting up MailChimp hacks, to make it do what we wanted. We were like, wow, we'll save hours or more just by switching systems. So that kind of triggered the switch for us.
That's awesome. I started with MailChimp too, and it's very different. It's two very different platforms, and they work differently. But when did you make the switch to ConvertKit? How recently?
Oh gosh, it was last year. I wrote a blog post. It was still after I'd done it. I don't know. It was in 2015 sometime. I'd have to look it up. I feel like we've been on there forever now because it's like, what did I do before the wonderful that is ConvertKit? I barely remember. Someone asked me a MailChimp technical question the other day, and I was like, no clue. I was like, I don't even know what it looks like anymore. I never log in there.
Yeah. So with ConvertKit, what were the main reasons that it made it so easy for you, like kind of a no-brainer to switch over to ConvertKit once you saw that demo of it?
Yeah, there's a few key reasons. I feel like there's a ton, but the big reasons that I think can impact almost anyone who's running a business and trying to market their business. Number one is, you touched on it a little bit, but it's not. I always messed up. It is subscriber based and not list based. So MailChimp, if that's confusing, I'll break it down. MailChimp is list based, so you're paying for why am I like brain farting right now?
Right. They make it complicated. That's why.
I know. It's like usually I can just like regurgitate this, but of course, like today I'm having an issue. But basically on MailChimp, you're gonna pay for the same person multiple times if they're on multiple lists. And that was really impacting our businesses because we do webinars. And so on MailChimp, we'd have to have a separate list for each webinar. And then someone would subscribe to it. And they might subscribe and register for all of our webinars. So then not only are they on 10 webinar lists and our main list and maybe some product lists, so we're paying for that one person like 7 times. And we're having to manually export and import and try to keep it all sorted. And you can't really track where people are coming from. It just got so convoluted so quickly. And so we realized that our MailChimp expenses just kept going up and up, even though maybe our main list wasn't growing at that high of a rate. It was just really frustrating. So I'd say like the main reason was wanting to stop paying duplicate, stop paying for the same person multiple times. And then the ease of content upgrades, that's a big part of our list building strategy, is offering a free download with as many blog posts and opportunities as possible, just to give some free content. And with MailChimp, you were having to do that in a little bit of a complicated way. And it just kind of like we had to bring in lead boxes. And I know there are other ways to do it, but what worked for us was like pulling in a third-party system to act as the middleman. And it was just like one thing after another. You have to make hidden fields. It just like wasn't, we were doing it, but it was taking more time and we were paying a lot of money. And we felt like, yes, you can use tags and segments, but they weren't intuitive again. We were worried about the data we would be losing if we tried to export everyone from a list into the main list and then delete the old list. It was like, hope we're doing all of this right,
Yeah.
So, I mean, those were like the major pain points. And then just sales funnels, like wanting to have really efficient sales funnels, but struggling to make it work as easily as we knew we could otherwise. So those were like the biggest pain points, I would say. What about you? Like, what were some of your pain points?
The biggest, like you said, the biggest struggle for me was having all of these different lists, whether somebody signed up for an e-course or they were part of the newsletter or whatever it was. And I didn't have half as many lists as you and Mariah with doing webinars, but I still had several. And I just have to scroll through all of these lists even to find them. But like you said, I had duplicate people. So I had somebody sign up for an Ellechat, and I had somebody sign up for the newsletter, and I had somebody sign up for multiple courses, and that meant I was paying for them 5 or 6 times. And it wasn't until switching over to ConvertKit that I realized, oh my goodness, I really only have this number of subscribers, and I should be paying for 13,000, and I've been paying for 15,000. Like, that's a big chunk when it gets down to it. And it may not seem like that big of a deal at first. I started on MailChimp and it was free when I started. And so it was a great place to start for me. But it was so much harder to make the switch later after my list size had grown some too. And so, and that's something to talk about too, Megan. And we talked about this briefly before we hopped on and went live, but would you encourage people to start out on MailChimp like we did, or just to go ahead and bite the bullet to go with ConvertKit? What are your thoughts on that? What would you recommend?
So before I even answer, I completely understand why people want to go with MailChimp. This is what I like to say anytime I'm talking about, specifically MailChimp versus ConvertKit, or even just pro ConvertKit. It's not like I hate MailChimp. Like, I respect it. I think it's a great platform. It just didn't meet my needs in the long run. So what I like to tell people is if you have $0, like, I totally get why you would want to go with the free system. Makes sense. But I think from what I've experienced and what I've seen other people going through is you're going to hit a wall with it eventually if you like to do advanced marketing. If you aren't planning on doing advanced marketing in your business with trying to get your email list as huge as possible, like, MailChimp could be great for you. I always recommend biting the bullet to ConvertKit, because you should never, especially coming from a systems mindset, I like to discourage people from thinking just in the moment and just right now. So you might have less than 1,000 subscribers on your email list right now, and you're thinking, well, I could pay $10 or less on MailChimp versus $29 on ConvertKit, which I totally get. But if you're doing advanced marketing strategies and you're really growing a successful business, like I know many of you are or trying to, you are going to grow your list. And eventually you're going to be at a place where we were, where you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't do what I want to do. And now I have to figure out how to migrate thousands of people over to a new system and not mess it up. And, you just kind of end up putting yourself at a disadvantage because you're thinking in the current instead of thinking to scale. Like that's my philosophy is you want to pick systems in your business that will grow with your business, that won't be too small for what you want to do or aren't too big, So to me, ConvertKit has been like, what do they call it? Like, it's like Cinderella slipper. Like it's just the perfect fit. And I don't think that's really a phrase. There's some other phrase. Like I don't know.
I'm blanking. I should have warned you guys to begin with. Not feeling so great today. Somehow Jake gave me this cold.
Boo.
Well, thanks for bearing with me. Can't think of it either. I saw in the comments too, I'm trying to keep up with it as we go, talking about using groups and segments, and that's true with MailChimp, but it isn't as intuitive, I don't think, on MailChimp as it is on ConvertKit. And we're going to show you behind the scenes and show you what that looks like in just a moment. Also, too, someone asked if I had set up automations with MailChimp, and that was another thing that, just like you said, Megan, isn't super intuitive with MailChimp. ConvertKit, Nathan Barry, like you said earlier, is the creator of it. And if you go on the ConvertKit site, you'll see where it says that ConvertKit was designed for professional bloggers. And I think because everything that I want to do, whether it's keep up with subscribers and not have multiple lists, whether it's put a content upgrade easily in the bottom of a blog post, or to set up an automated sequence, ConvertKit was built with that in mind. So they set their whole platform up to make it easy for you to do all of these things. And kind of, you can get complicated with it, but you don't have to. And that's what, personally, I appreciate.
Yeah. And I think one thing to point out, well, before I keep going, like you already said, I just want to make sure everyone knows we will be screen sharing and we'll be showing you the back end of ConvertKit. We're just kind of talking a little bit about why we like it, talking about the pros. And then I think if you're a visual person like I am, once we're in there, I think it'll all start to click and you'll have maybe some good questions for us too. But I mean, the main things for me is just, I love that ConvertKit is one list. I know I've seen a Q&A about it, and I've seen stuff just previously on blog comments and things. That MailChimp, you have different lists. ConvertKit is one list, and it's magically easy. The way that you can distinguish it, you can have forms, you can have tags, you can have segments. But the cool part is that that's just giving you information. It's a way to get insight on your list. It's a way to communicate just with specifically like the specific people you want. It gives you a lot of power. It gives you a lot of control, and it gives you a lot of information. That's what, when you were talking about the groups with MailChimp, when we did do those, and it was hard. Like I felt like they didn't always work, and maybe that's because we were using lead boxes as the middleman. Like I don't know what, it just felt like it wasn't always working. And so the data we wanted wasn't always right. Like I felt like I would import people and like half of them got the right group and the other half didn't, it just wasn't a system that we had nailed down. And so maybe that is our error, but as a technical person, to me, that speaks to the fact that the system isn't intuitive enough for me, who's a big old geek, to get it right, So, I mean, to me, it was just, that information, those analytics is so insightful, just the ease of emailing everyone in one click. Content upgrades, I have a little list.
All the things.
The content upgrades, the free downloads, just easy as pie. And email funnels, automation rules. I'm really excited to dig in and show you guys all this because there's some really amazing things that you can do.
Here's a quick question too before we just dive into the demo, because I think a lot of things will make sense in light of seeing ConvertKit up and running and seeing the back end of it. But did you all see an increase in the number of people who open your emails because you use ConvertKit?
Yeah, I forget the exact stat. I should have pulled that before we jumped on. But we had, Mariah has a large list. And so she sends out emails all the time. When we switched to ConvertKit, we got multiple people who emailed us back and said, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten an email from you in 6 months. I didn't even know you were still in business. It was like, yeah, we've been emailing you like at least once a week for 6 months, and they were just all going into spam or getting bounced for some reason. So we saw, Mariah knows the stat, but it's like our open rate just like went way up, and it was pretty crazy. It was a great validation though. Like right when we made that switch, all of a sudden it was like, wow, like guess they were all getting bounced. Like who knew? And I do like also in ConvertKit, you can view a subscriber and it shows all of their information. So like this one person, they signed up through these 5 forms, they are in these courses, they have these tags, and then you can see each email and like very quickly see if they all went through or if they bounced or if they were opened or if they clicked a link. So it's just like so neat. I like to get real creepy on it because ConvertKit like pulls, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm sure you have, if ConvertKit will pull the picture. So like if you have an email address with your picture associated with it, it pulls your picture and it's always kind of creepy, but I love it. I'm always like, oh, that's what Susie looks like. That's so funny. Or I don't know why. To me, I'm just like, I remember I didn't expect it. So I was like really surprised, but it makes sense.
Yeah. And it's nice to actually see the faces behind just all of these email addresses too.
I know.
So with all of this being said, because I want to leave time at the end for all of these great questions that are coming in, but I really think it's going to be helpful to show behind the scenes. So ConvertKit actually allowed us to set up a demo account. So Megan is going to share her screen with you guys and then just start showing you through the dashboard for ConvertKit.
Okay, I shared my screen, Lauren, so tell me if you can see it.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So like Lauren said, Daryl, who's my pal at ConvertKit, he does business development for them. He's awesome. He set us up with a demo account. So I'm super excited to take advantage of this, but that's why what you see is blank. So if you sign up for ConvertKit, this is exactly what you'd see at first. So what I want to do is just kind of go through, and Lauren, tell me like at any point if you want me to talk about something else or go back or clarify. But my game plan, I think, is just to kind of go through a few of these tabs. And even though there won't be much data in them, just kind of explain what they all mean. And then I can like show some basics like how to create a form or things like that. We can answer questions.
Perfect.
So does that sound good?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, cool. So I want to cover some ConvertKit terminology first. So forms this is an opt-in form. So this is how a subscriber would join your list from the outside. So like if you wanted to have an opt-in on a web page of yours, it would be coming from a form. So that's what this is. So this will be your whole list of all your forms. And then you can also archive them to keep this nice and clean. Again, I'm just going to do high-level overview and then break it down.
Perfect.
And forms can also be landing pages. So we'll talk about that when we go back. Then a sequence, just like it describes here, this is an email series, a sales funnel. Maybe you have an email course. Maybe you want to send certain emails to people who buy a course, kind of checking in on them. This is how you would do all of that. And sequences are so easy to create in ConvertKit. I'm excited to show you. But this is basically just an email series and email sequence. Okay. Broadcasts. And the difference between a broadcast and a sequence will run automatically. You set them up in advance and you tell them when to go out. Broadcasts are one-time emails. So it's like I'm sending an email today to my list about this webinar, and that's the only time it's going out. It's not going out again. Yeah, so that's
the MailChimp equivalent of a campaign.
Yes, thank you.
Equivalent to a MailChimp campaign.
Yes, perfect. And then subscribers is where you will see all of your subscribers. And this is also where you can see segments and tags and kind of view your subscribers based on certain filters. You can import, you can search, tons of stuff to do here. And at any point, Lauren, if you feel like not seeing a blank account would be more beneficial, I have no issue switching over into my normal account. So just let me know.
Yeah, and I can switch over to mine too. I think that might be helpful too when we go back to tags and segments, just to see what the difference between the two are. So.
Yeah, and I kind of figured keeping it clean while I'm explaining it works, and maybe when we're in the Q&A section, if it's better to like show examples, totally down. Okay, so automations, this is like one of my favorite parts about ConvertKit is that you can create an automation rule. So basically, it allows you to do anything from having someone purchase a product, get added to a certain tag or sequence. It could be someone clicks a link in an email and they get tagged as a lead for your new product. Um, so much power that goes into automation rules. And this was one of my favorite things. So again, I'll show you guys a demo at a later point.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of like high level because I think some of these terms kind of can feel confusing if you're not familiar with them.
Yes.
So that's how it works. So Lauren, are you fine if I go ahead and show how to create a form?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. So again, I love how ConvertKit makes this pretty simple. They ask you the question and they kind of show you what your options are. So I feel like they do a great job of guiding you through this process anyways. But ConvertKit does do landing pages. They have 4 simple templates that you can choose from. A lot of people ask if you need ConvertKit and Leadpages. I think there's a lot of confusion there. Leadpages is a marketing platform that mostly focuses on landing pages. So I think that's where the confusion comes from.
Mhm.
ConvertKit does landing pages, but not as well as Leadpages. I think if you need a landing page and you're not ready to invest in Leadpages, this is an amazing solution because you have 4 different options and it's already integrated with your email system. So I think these are amazing. I don't use them too much because I use Squarespace for landing pages a lot and I already had Leadpages.
Right.
So I don't necessarily use these, but I've seen tons of people make really beautiful landing pages. So if you wanted to make one of these, you would just click the template you want and it would like prompt you to write in your text, upload graphics, all that great stuff. But I'm going to go back and create just a form. And you have 3 different styles that you can choose from. And I usually do this really simple one. And this is the like dashboard of your form. So this is really a preview of it. And you can always click view to view it live, or you can view the demo like you are here, go to settings, view the subscribers for this specific form, or something I want to point out that is often overlooked is this little magic wand.
I love that.
For some reason, and I don't understand why, ConvertKit puts the word next to all the other icons, but it failed to put a word next to the wand. Like
On ConvertKit.
I know, and I've mentioned this to them before, so maybe they'll add a word eventually. But I remember I wanted to change this button, the color of it, because this button color will also be in an email that gets sent out with your free download. So a lot of people want to know how to change the color of the button in their emails. This is how you change this button. And I had no idea how. I was like, surely I don't have to like code the color of this. Like there's no way. Turns out all you do is click the magic wand and you can style it. So hopefully they'll add a little style word next to this at some point. But I just wanted to make sure if you're new to ConvertKit, I know some of you are, I just wanted to make sure you are aware that this is how you change the style of your form. So if we go into settings, this is really the meat of it all. This is where you'll want to name your form. It says landing page here, but it applies to both landing pages and forms. You can say if it's a full landing page hosted by ConvertKit or just a form on your site. Once someone signs up, you can say, this is what I want them to see. You can send them to another page, maybe a thank you page. You can add them to an email sequence like we talked about. So maybe when they sign up for this form, they automatically are going to go into a sequence. You can do that really quickly right here.
Yep. And I love that. Just cutting in. Don't mind.
Yeah, no, please do.
But I love the redirect to another page too, because I know for my newsletter, I have kind of a success page, but it also links to other articles and stuff. So I don't want to lose someone at just subscribing. I want to land on a page and introduce them to more content and tell them what they need to do in order to see the emails from me pop up in their inbox even more easily.
Oh, that's smart. I like that idea.
I love the redirect to another page option too.
Yeah, that's a really good idea too. Everyone should do that. Everyone copy Lauren because that's a good idea. Whoa, I just zoomed in. Sorry. Okay. So we have all these different settings. The main settings, like we just went through, your incentive email, your style, how to embed it, create a Twitter card from it, and then how to like delete or archive. So going to the next one with the incentive email, this is the holy grail of what Lauren and I were talking about with content upgrades.
Yeah.
So let's say you have a blog and you want to share a free download, or it doesn't even have to be a blog, but let's say you just want to offer someone a free PDF. Maybe it's a checklist. What you would do is you'd create this form, and that's what you would embed, and you change your subject line, change the message, and you can change this text to say, click here to get your free download. And you can change it to an incentive download. You upload your file, you press save, and you're done. Now, when they subscribe, they get this email. They click the button, which not only gets them the free download, but confirms them on your list. So it's a 2-in-1. And that's all. It's so easy.
It's awesome. And it's the, what is the word? Double opt-in? Is that what it is?
Yes, yes.
So it's awesome because you're getting their permission as they're clicking to get the download.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't want them to get the free download if they aren't a confirmed member anyways. So it kind of does both. And if you want, this could be a URL. So let's say you have a form and it's not a free download, but maybe they purchased a course and you want to send them to your membership site. You could say, click here to log in. You put in the login link, tons of different uses. And if you don't want to send an incentive email at all, you can uncheck it and you don't have to. So sometimes we'll do this if we have an email sequence that they're going to get and we want them to get like a specific like email one of the email sequence, we might do that. But there are some rules about double opt-in. So just make sure you are complying with the law, which I cannot advise you on, but it's not that hard. Okay. Sorry, I keep zooming in. My mouse does this thing where if I tap too many times, it'll zoom in. It happens to me all the time. Okay, so here's the style. Again, we can change the style options. So these were the 3 we were presented with when we created it. So you can always change your mind. And you can have it inline your text. You can have it be like a pop-up, or which is called a modal. And then you can have it slide in at the bottom. And you can do some custom code if you want. I love this feature. I don't utilize it very much. Lauren, maybe you do, but it's pretty cool because you can have it change what shows if they've already subscribed. So let's say it's on a blog post and you have your form in here. You can either have them come, if they come back after they already subscribed, they'll still see it. You can hide it all together, or you could show them something else. So it could have a little form that's like, you already got this download. Maybe you're interested in this instead. I don't know. I think this is really, really cool. I haven't taken the time to really utilize it though.
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because it makes me want to go back and revisit some of the forms that I've set up.
I know. Yeah. I mean, there's just endless possibilities here. And then there's 3 ways that you can embed ConvertKit. You can do this one line of JavaScript. You can copy the raw HTML, or if you use WordPress, you can just copy this and embed it or use their plugin. So if you use Leadboxes, for example, you would want to use the raw HTML. I use Squarespace all the time. And so there's different ways. I have blog posts on how to integrate those two. And I know you do as well. So there's tons of information out there if you want more on how to embed this with your Squarespace site. We can always, Lauren, you and I can always show that too if we want.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then last feature, I know I'm spending a lot of time on forums, but I think it's like the backbone of everything in my mind. You can set up to Twitter cards. I think this is really cool. If you have a main freebie, you can just very easily connect this to Twitter and start using Twitter ads, and then duplicate, archive, or delete. But that's like the basics. So I'm going to go ahead and save this so we can go back to the dashboard. And you'll see that you now have this little card here. So this is where you'd see the name of it, what your incentive is, and then this is where you can see some really great statistics. So how many people have seen it, how many people have subscribed, and what that conversion rate is. So
I love
really
being
awesome.
able to see them all at a glance too, especially when you start to have more and more forms and you see them all there at a glance. It's really helpful just to see the analytics really easily at a glance for the number or percent of conversions.
Yeah, and just seeing also like which got the most subscribers. Like I don't have to like I can just see that at a glance and very easily understand like which was more popular.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't spend that much time on all of this, I promise.
You're fine. It's so helpful.
So we're going to create a little demo sequence here, and you'll name it whatever you want. And ConvertKit already generates, I think it's 7 emails, I forget. But if you're new to sales funnels, this is like a gift because this literally tells you like what a good sales funnel contains. So if you're looking to have sales funnels, take the time to actually read what ConvertKit has put in each email, because like this is like something they could sell. Like they could sell how to do, people sell how to do sales funnels. Like this is
And they have it
very,
set up already.
yeah, and it's in here. So I think this is just something people don't really talk about, but is very powerful. But it's super easy to go ahead and delete these if you don't want them. You can drag and drop. You can set, 7 days after the last email, change the time. I'm going to stay. Write your email, change it to published, preview it. I mean, it just couldn't be easier.
And in MailChimp, I know setting up automated sequences, you had to do a separate email each time and start from scratch on each one of the emails. It just wasn't as easy to see all the emails at a glance. And I feel like this is one of my favorite parts of ConvertKit that I need to go back and utilize more. But sequences are so much easier to do on ConvertKit.
Yeah, definitely. And just like on the form, you can view some settings. So you can change what days they get sent out, what time they get sent out. Maybe you want them all going out at 6 a.m. Eastern, but you don't want to send anything on a Saturday or a Sunday. You can control all of that. You can have different email templates. So ConvertKit actually has a great tutorial on how to create custom email templates. So maybe you have a series, like a 30-day challenge, and you want that to look different than your other emails. You can very quickly go ahead and give that whole series a different template to work off of. You can exclude. So if it's a sales funnel, maybe you want to exclude anyone who is a student, and you can exclude multiple things. And like you were saying, Lauren, you'd have to start from scratch every time. You can also just duplicate. So if you have a great sequence, or maybe you want to update it, there's tons of reasons. You could just duplicate an existing sequence and make the changes you want. So super, super simple. And then you can always view reports too. So once you actually have this done, you'll see this. Excuse me. And this is unreal, this amount of data. When you send out a sequence, you can see how many people didn't confirm. So that little button, they never clicked it in the first email. How many subscribed, how many unsubscribed, your overall open rate, and your overall click rate. But you can also see that for each email. So like maybe when you get to the hard sell, you realize you have like 20 unsubscribers and everything else has like less than 5. You're like, okay, maybe I need to redo my hard sell. Clearly that email is pushing way more people out. But it just allows you to see a lot of trends and see where people fall off. So tons of great information here.
All at a glance.
All at a glance. Yeah. So that's sequences. And then the broadcast is quite similar, but you get to decide who you're sending it for. So if you remember Lauren and I talking about all the control you have with tags and segments and forms to decide who's getting something, by default, you can choose to send it to all subscribers. You can also say all subscribers except those who subscribed to this form or who subscribed before, I don't know, July 29th at midnight. Like there's just so many options where it's cold subscribers within a segment, within a date, or, they subscribe to a certain sequence, and you'll get an updated total of how many people will actually get it after you're going through all of your filters. So there's so much power here.
Especially if you have your tags and segments set up.
Yeah, so I just love the control here where you can really get as specific as you want. And if that's overwhelming, you don't have to. Just send it to everyone. It doesn't have to get that complex, but it can. And I think the fact that you have that option and that flexibility is the important part.
Oh, yeah.
So then if we go to the next step, this is where you'll write in your subject. You'll write in your email. You can preview it 2 different ways. Again, you could give it a different email template if you want. You can add their name, just like that with a click of a button. I can have it set up where if I have a first name for them, it'll say hello first name. And if I don't, it'll just say hello. And I literally didn't do a thing except click a button and say subscriber's name with fallback. Like I wouldn't know how to do this otherwise. Yeah. So it's really cool. And one thing I want to show you that we'll dig into when we get into the automations. But I remember I mentioned that you can have click link triggers so that when someone clicks a link in an email, there can be an action. So maybe they get automatically registered for a webinar, or maybe they automatically get tagged as interested. If you're in the middle of a pitch and they click the link to your sales page, you can track that and see that they're extra warm. And all you'd have to do, again, I'm kind of going to go backwards here. You would click the link, insert link, and once you've set up your automation, there's going to be a whole list here of all of your click link options. And you can just click it and boom, you have, obviously can't do it, but it's that simple. So I just love that everything is very intuitive and simple.
And everything that you need to use is so easy. It's like they're inside your mind.
Yes. And then here you get one final preview, the final stats, and you can just schedule it 6 a.m. Eastern time for whatever reason, schedule or duplicate. And if after you send a broadcast, you can resend it to the people that didn't open it. You click one button and resend it to people that didn't open it. So tons of just power and options here. And then you'll get a whole list of all of your broadcasts.
That's
and
awesome.
then subscribers, to me, subscribers, this will be more helpful to see a full demo of it. But to create a segment, you would just type it in and you would say what the filters are. I don't want to dig too deep on this right now, but I think we did get a question on the difference between segments and tags. Again, we can go deeper. High level, just like it says here, segments let you group people together in an automated way. So if I know that I want someone who's on this form at any point to get added to this segment, like all I do is press save. I have that segment. It'll show me how many people subscribed. And then tags require an automation. So this is something that we'll get into in the automations. But I just want to point out that a segment kind of happens automatically once they meet criteria, whereas a tag is something you kind of do in the automation rules. So why would you do this? We do it during launches when we want to track multiple groups. Like we will create a segment. So we'll have throughout the year, we'll have a tag that says like lead and then the name of our course. So we know they've opted in for something related to our course. So they would be interested in our course. But I don't want to have to set up an automation where every time they do something, that tag gets removed, because if they ever opt into something else course related, or then they'll get back into that tag, and it can kind of create a little circle, and that gets confusing for everyone. So what you would want to do is, like, we have this year-long lead tag, and then I'll create a segment that says if they're in this tag and they've clicked this link and they're not a student, then they're like our real VIP list. So just like how we showed with the broadcasts and things, you have all these filtering powers. So I would say anyone who subscribed to this form that I know means they're interested in my product, but who isn't an existing, I'm just clicking things, who isn't an existing student of my product, that's who this segment really is. So that way it's just happening very automated. And when I want to send a sales email, all I have to worry about is sending it to this segment. I know that it's filtering already. You don't have to like refilter every time you want to send a broadcast. Does that make sense? Or did I just like totally make that confusing?
No, and I think if you think about tags as a smaller unit than a segment, tags then form the segment.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I think about it. I have a newsletter segment, like a segment set up just for the newsletter, and there are certain conditions for who gets on the newsletter segment. I don't know if I'm doing that the right way, but that's how I've set it up, and it seems to work.
Go ahead.
I think this might be helpful too to see as like maybe an example of the back end of one of ours to see segments and tags.
I'll make a note, and once I go through this, we can totally log into one of our accounts. But I agree. I view tags as like a lesser than value than a segment. And to me, people are like, oh, but what if you have too many? Who cares? Like, it's a list. You can always delete them, edit them, or just have a long reference of everything. So anyways, I agree. Once we get into the back end of an existing site, that might make more sense. The last thing I want to show you guys is an automation rule. And it's very simple. When this happens, you want the system to do this for you. So this is where the link triggers. You would say clicks a link, sales page, and you'd put in your URL. I'll just put in my site for now. And then when someone clicks this link, I want them to be tagged as interested in my program. Boom. That's all you have to do. Or you could have multi-part ones. So like if they click this link or they complete this email sequence, they get added as this tag. Or if you actually hook this up with a system like Teachable or Gumroad or any of those like electronic delivery systems, you can have it where if someone purchases a product, maybe then they get added to a sequence. Maybe you want them to get a follow-up email, or maybe they get removed from a tag because they bought. So you don't want them listed as a lead anymore. Tons of options. And they have some great information here on different ways that you can use this. I love that it has this status icon.
Yes.
Because we have had things where like it broke on our end, like the other site, like especially we use Teachable. Like if we changed a Teachable link, all of a sudden it was like, or the product went away, like it'd say, oh, disabled, like this isn't working. But it just allows you the opportunity to know like it's all working, like it's all setting up, there's nothing going wrong. So I like that you can just see the status right there.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my high level overview.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I think too, if you have any questions, you can reach out to either one of us about it. I know I should probably do more blog posts about it. I've been learning about it as I go too, but yeah, I think this is a great starting point. And like we said, you can, all of these options, like these triggers especially, and I can switch it back here too. The triggers especially allow you to get as complicated with it as you need to, or just keep it as simple as you want to. You can always add on. They make it really easy too to sort out your tags and segments. So if you set things up and you want to delete it later, you can do that too.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I just, I know I've already said this probably, but I love that it can be simple or it can be complex, and you have the ability to do whatever your business requires. Like maybe you start out keeping it simple, but maybe 6 months from now, you're like, I really want to get into sales funnels. Like you still have you don't have to go buy anything else. You don't have to upgrade to a different level to get certain features. That's another great thing about ConvertKit is no matter what level you're at, you have all the features. So like you have less than 1,000, you have the same features as someone who has 200,000. Like there's no difference, and you're not penalized for having less subscribers in any way.
Awesome. Are you ready to start answering some of these awesome?
Yeah, I think let's answer some questions, and some of them I think will lend themselves to screen sharing.
Perfect. I agree. All right. So we're going to start with, let's see, it's Kate. She says, how can I organize it so people get an autoresponder series and then get added to my main list? Also, how do I ensure that they don't get promos from my main list before getting the autoresponder? So this goes back to forms, so let's start with the first one. How can I organize it so people get an autoresponder series and then get added to my main list?
So your whole thing is your main list. So that's the beauty of ConvertKit is they already are. If they opt in for anything at any point, they're on your main list and you can utilize them however you want. So that's not really an issue. If you're like Lauren and maybe you have a separate segment that you want to send newsletters to and they have to meet certain requirements, you would just set those settings up like we showed you with all the filtering options. You would just make sure you're filtering out the people that are currently in that autoresponder series. So that's how I would do that. And then making sure they don't get promos from your main list before getting the autoresponder. All you would want to do is when you're sending out a broadcast, I don't know why I keep coughing.
My cold, Megan.
I know through Ellechat, I'm getting your cold. No, I think it's just a little tickle. But in your broadcasts, you can exclude, just how we showed you all those filtering options, kind of the same thing. I would just exclude anyone currently in that sequence. And it makes it really easy to do that. ConvertKit, you can also have it, you can see who is like completed that sequence. So if you have an ongoing sequence that you don't want people to be getting that and your main. What I would do is have 2 different tags, or you could do a segment, but I'd have it where you have like a differentiation between people who are in it actively and people who are completed it. And what you would do is set up an automation so that when there's an option on there that says like completed sequence. I would say when you've completed sequence, they get removed from this tag and added to this tag, or maybe they just get added to like, it's really up to you. That's what I like. ConvertKit, there's no wrong way.
Yeah.
You can totally make it whatever you want. But again, it's all these filtering options. You could have it where they get removed from that tag. And so that way, then they start getting all your normal emails.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out to everyone, just really quickly too, there's a button, should be like right here on your screen. And it's to a checklist that Megan set up for those of you who are interested in switching over from MailChimp or wherever to ConvertKit. So how to get started with it. It's actually what I used. I wrote it out step by step and was like, making sure I was following it. So helpful. So be sure that you do that before we start answering all these other questions and I forget.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I do think, Lauren, before we get any farther, do you want to go ahead and tell them about the lovely surprise we have for them?
Yes. So ConvertKit has agreed to give you all, or willingly given you all, a free 30-day trial to use ConvertKit. See how you like it. You're not going to, like, if you wanted to keep your MailChimp account and just test out ConvertKit, you can do that at the same time, right, Megan?
Yes, you totally can. This is like a no commitments 30-day trial. I will say, because I've offered this to people before, and the only questions I get from it is when you sign up for ConvertKit, it does ask you to put in billing information. They will not charge you until after you've been on the system for 30 days. So if you are unsure, definitely put in, like, the moment you sign up, put a little reminder on your calendar and just say in 30 days, decide if I want to keep using it or not. And that way you won't run the risk of getting billed after the first 30 days. But it's a completely free 30-day trial. You do have to enter in the payment information, but they won't bill you. Right. And then for anyone who has signed up for ConvertKit, because I think I saw a question or a comment about it, ConvertKit is really protective of, they don't want robots using ConvertKit. So they do actually approve each person. So if you sign up for ConvertKit, you'll see a little thing that's like, you can't send out an email yet until you've been approved. They have instructions for all of this, but I think it can be a little jarring when you first sign up. Like, what does that mean? All you have to do is there's a little comment box and you can click it and it's their technical support. You just say, hey, I'm a real person. Like, hey, can you approve me? And they do it like same day usually, if not like instantly, unless you're like at a weird hour of the day. But that's all it means. It's just because they don't want like random robots using ConvertKit and sending out emails. And so it's a thing that we should be grateful for. But it is something that can confuse people. So I kind of wanted to address that. But is there a place we can put the link?
I put it in the comments and I'll continue
to
drop it in there. Crowdcast only allows one
announcement or something.
Okay. So I wanted to checklist.
Email. We can email it out too, right?
Yeah, we can absolutely email it out to everybody who registered too. So be sure to take advantage of that because it is an awesome, awesome deal. And then you can try it out and see how you like it and fiddle around with all of this and for free. So
yeah. Okay. Sorry. I just want to make sure since ConvertKit set that up for us, I definitely want people to know. Okay. Sorry. So questions. Where are we?
We'll go back. Michelle says, I see some bloggers use ConvertKit and Leadpages. Do you need both, or can ConvertKit be used as a standalone for lead magnets?
So I think we addressed this a little bit, but just to reiterate, since we're officially answering the question, you do not need both. ConvertKit can take the place of Leadpages. As long as you are happy with their landing pages, it'll be a very easy system. If you, I think I like to view it that Leadpages is still an amazing asset. And I think it's an incredible tool to have that can really leverage your time and your marketing your marketing desires. So I definitely say that once you can afford Leadpages, I highly recommend it. But is it a necessity if you have ConvertKit? No, it's not.
Yeah.
Do you agree or do you disagree?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, need to learn more about Leadpages. I don't use it that regularly. I like that you can have a landing page with ConvertKit. I, like you said, set all of mine up through Squarespace at the moment, and Squarespace integrates pretty easily with ConvertKit too. I know Megan and I both did a post on this, so feel free to refer back to those. But the answer is no, you don't have to use both of them, but you can, depending on what you need it for.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. All right, Kelsey from Paper and Notes, she was just on 2 weeks ago, says, do you think it's better to group your subscribers with tags or with segments, or why would you use one over the other? I know that we already touched on this a little, but just to clarify one more time.
Yeah, so I would say use both, but with different purposes in mind. And again, when we show you the back end, which I guess I could like go ahead and log into it right now while we're talking. I don't know if I can talk and do this at the same time. Maybe I'm not that smart. Okay, yeah. So I would say use both. Okay, yeah, you talk. I'll log into my account and share my screen.
Yeah, so like Megan said, segments are the overarching, they're the bigger organizational group than tags. Tags kind of inform your segments. And you can set up those automation triggers like we just talked about, so that if somebody belongs to a certain tag or these two tags or whatever, they can go into a segment. So it just depends on what you use them for. For me, I tag people for Ellechat. I tag people depending on like if they come in through a certain form, like the 4 main forms on my landing page on ellencompanydesign.com. There's one that's geared toward design and branding. There's another that's geared toward websites and Squarespace. So when someone comes in through that form, I go ahead and tag them for design or branding. And that way later, if I want to create a segment off of it, I can, based on what their interests are. So that's a great thing about ConvertKit too, is you can really get to know your subscribers better and section them off. But I think Megan has it up and ready to go to show you.
Yes, so I am in the back end of my account, and I want to say something that Lauren and I have talked about is it's, to me, my tags and my segments are evolving, and what I have right now isn't necessarily like I'm not saying this is what you should do. This is what's been working for me, and I think I want to utilize it in different ways going forward. And I can show you Mariah's different ones too, because we have used hers in a little bit of a different way than mine. I use tags to track interested a lot. Like this is my main goal in tags. So I can see that if someone has opted in for my free checklist, they are interested in ConvertKit. If they've opted in for my goal setting spreadsheets, they're interested in goal setting. So some of these are really specific about Squarespace, ConvertKit, Leadpages. Others are more general interests like productivity, systems, website, organizing. So it's cool because since I have so many different things getting tagged as different combinations of tags, I can really get an accurate glimpse of like the interest. So if I really wanted to do a Leadpages or a ConvertKit training, I could say, well, I have a lot more interest in ConvertKit right now than Leadpages, so maybe I should go with ConvertKit for now. Again, I have like lead for my website product. If anyone like opts out of a certain, like maybe someone emails me and says they're not interested in hearing about Squarespace, I would add them to this tag and they don't have to hear about Squarespace anymore. And then like tracking students. And this is one of the things that might be better as a segment, but I started it off as a tag. And then for me, I've used segments just to say all students of anything, all subscribers, and then paid students. So I don't even think, honestly, like I'm a bad example. I'm not sure these are that accurate.
I have mine up.
Yeah, show yours, because
I probably need to go back and revisit too, but just to show how you can.
Yeah, I'm going to log into Mariah's too. Do you want me to show that, or are you going to show yours?
I'll show mine really quickly while you get that up.
Okay, perfect.
On my side?
Yeah, looks great.
So these are my, this is the same page that Megan just showed you from her end. This is what it looks like on mine. So I have different tags based on all of my different Illustrator courses. I set one to round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, and then combined all of those tags into a segment of just my Adobe Illustrator, I said clients, students, whatever.
Oh, I love that though. So yeah, that's perfect.
And you can see how that's a smaller segment, like a smaller grouping, and all of those groupings go into a segment. So if I have a new course update, I can just send it out to this segment. And then I have different people going into the newsletter. So I tag the main newsletter, anybody who opts in specifically for the newsletter is tagged as newsletter, but the newsletter also goes out to everyone who signed up for Create Your Website, Design Your Brand, all of those. So all of those tags are going into my newsletter. And I know we've reached 4 o'clock, so I know some of you will have to go. This replay will be up and available, but I just want to answer a few more questions if that's okay with you, Megan.
Oh, definitely. And one thing I want to point out while I'm looking at your thing is that to me, segments are a way to save time. And this has been, I think the way you're using it shows that. And I think the way we've used it for Mariah's business shows it, is that we do a lot of, like, especially for us, we have a course that we offer twice a year. And so we need to track like who's an existing student and who's a lead, and it needs to be saving us time so that every time we're sending out an email, Mariah just has to click one button. Like, this is going to this segment. She doesn't have to worry about like, oh, but it needs to exclude this people who got refunded and these people who already bought last year and these people who bought VIP this year, you know,
right.
All of the different ways that we're tracking people. By having the segment, she can just go in and very clearly click one segment. And so that's like how we will use it a lot, is we'll have like, you know, round 1, round 2 style. And then we have people that like opt back into the live session, even if they took it in an earlier round. So that has a segment, you know.
Yeah.
And I want people, I don't know if people are saying anything in the comments. I know that this can seem confusing and you want there to be like rules, like this is what you should do. But I think you need to like relieve yourself from that obligation to be perfect, because that doesn't exist. Every business is different. And there's so many different ways that you can use it. So I think you have to just allow yourself to think, I'll start with tags and maybe I'll do a segment later, you know, or I'll start with mainly using forms and I'll do a segment later. You know, you can just kind of start using it. And I think you'll realize like, oh man, I wish I had an easier way to reach this certain person. And you're like, oh wait, I could set up a segment. Duh. Yeah. So I think you should allow yourself to do that.
I was going to try to show how, like, for creating a segment, you can name it and then add the filters for all of your tags, which I think you showed earlier. Another thing that just might be helpful to see examples was for these triggers is like anybody who opts in through the main page for any of these different forms, Create Your Website, Design Your Brand, I add the tag newsletter. And that newsletter tag automatically goes to the segment newsletter. Crowdcast, anybody subscribes to a form, add the tag Ellechat, add them to the newsletter after they confirm. So just some simple rules there.
I like that. And it's like, if I was doing your business, one recommendation I would have, not that you have to take it.
No, all the rest.
The way you have it set up right now, your forms and your tags are duplicitous.
Yeah.
And so you're not really giving yourself more insight. I mean, you are, because you know what they all mean. But like, if I was you, I would have your forms look perfect. Like, I like to have forms be named specifically like that specific opt-in. So we will do forms. Like, let me share my screen and show you Mariah's forms really quick. And we're just like bouncing back and forth.
No, I love it.
Okay. So to organize it, and we have a bunch in archives, so this isn't necessarily accurate, but we will put brackets at the front of each form, and the brackets tell us what they are so that they're in a certain order. So if this is, we have like course has its own bracket. So anything course related is together. And then anything webinar related is together. And then what I'm going to show you in the archives, if my internet will work, is, you can see we've done a lot of these, is I have a content upgrade bracket. I just say CU. And this is every single content upgrade we have on our site. So like every freebie we're offering has its own form, and that's how it's getting delivered. But like this course launch kit, if I go into automations, which again, you'll see that we have a lot of them.
That's awesome. I should probably have more.
So oh shoot. Okay, well, this is fine. So we have it where if someone opts into this form, the course launch checklist, and I have 2 of these because I think we used it twice in different ways and I forgot. So this is like Megan doing twice the work for no reason. But if they subscribe to a form, and this is the course launch checklist, they get added as interested in course creation, interested in launching, and a lead for our course. So this is like, instead of just having a tag that says this, I'm now gathering the interests in the lead. So like for your business, if someone opts in for the branding thing, they're obviously interested in branding. So you could have a tag that's like branding or interested in branding. And then for your content upgrades in your blog, if you offer another freebie related to branding, it'll compile both of those for you into an interested tag. And then you can kind of gauge like, wow, most of my list is really interested in branding. Maybe I should have a branding product, or like they're all interested in Squarespace. I should do a Squarespace course.
Right.
That would be my only advice or recommendation. But I totally think that like, what works best for your business. I just like to leverage the difference.
It goes to show too, like we just talked about, how you can continue to add on and continue to do things. These are more things for my assistant to go back and so I'm adding to the list. But no, that's awesome. And it's great to see too. I think we're very alike in just organizational, our mindset on things. So it's good.
Yeah, I overanalyze organization. So I'm not saying you got to do it this way. This is just, I think especially in Mariah's business where every blog post has a free download, it can get overwhelming. So trying to funnel those into actionable information is always our goal.
Yeah, awesome. I know we have a lot more questions left, but we have reached, I want to be respectful of your time too.
Oh, it's fine.
So we'll try to go back and maybe even go back and do blog posts on some of these and go back and just comment on them and answer as many, or I can go back and do that and comment on as many of them as we can. Maybe we'll even have to just do a follow-up Ellechat, Megan.
I know. ConvertKit part 2. Let me skim some of these really quick. I mean, there's one more question that got more votes than all the other remaining ones. So maybe we do this last one.
Or Naomi's?
Yeah, since it has 10 votes, maybe.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Are you fine with that? Okay.
Yeah, if you are, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Maybe we already answered it.
Yes, Naomi is so sweet. Glad to see you in here, Naomi. She asks, do you have a separate sequence for each opt-in? If yes, how do you organize the tags and automation?
Yeah, so I think we've addressed this in a few different ways. You totally can have a separate sequence for each opt-in if you want. If you're doing a sales funnel, like maybe someone opts in for a freebie and your ultimate goal is to pitch them on your paid product, you would want to have an email sequence in between them that like, just like how ConvertKit shows you, like educate, soft sell, hard sell, you'd want to kind of go through that flow. And so then, yeah, in that case, you would totally want to set up, you'd have the welcome email with the freebie, and then maybe the next day or 2 days, you set the frequency, you have them go into that sequence. And then you don't need to have someone like ConvertKit allows you to filter by everything. So you can filter by forms, sequences, tags, and segments. So that's already data. Like if someone's already in a form, they don't necessarily need to also have a tag because you already have that data, so that's where like with Lauren, like kind of talking about leveraging the different ways to track it all. So if they're in a sequence, they don't need to be in a tag unless for you seeing that in a tag list helps you, then totally do it. Like who cares? But you don't have to. I would say like tracking more of like, if they purchased, you'd want to know that you had a special place where you were collecting like students in one place.
Right.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Megan. I really appreciate, I learned some new things too. It was great.
Oh.
And I hope that you all enjoyed it too, and that ConvertKit is a little, I keep wanting to say Crowdcast. I may have already said that.
I didn't notice if you did.
All the time. Okay, good. I'm always calling ConvertKit Crowdcast or one or the other. I love both of them. They're awesome. But I hope that you all took a lot away from this. Remember to, don't forget to download Megan's ConvertKit migration checklist. So helpful if you're considering making the switch. And download that so that you can take advantage of that 30-day trial, which I dropped the link one more time in the comments. I'll email it out to you all too so that you have it. But take advantage of that 30-day trial. Play around with it, set up tag segments, set up automated sequences, just have fun with it, and use that checklist as you go to Megan, thank you so much for taking the time to show us behind your screen and tell us all about ConvertKit. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I loved getting to meet everyone. And someone did ask if the 30-day trial like applies for people who watch the replay. Lauren, maybe this is something we need to talk to ConvertKit account. My understanding is that it's not necessarily a time sensitive thing, but since these replays are always available, we might want to put some kind of like a deadline that's kind of up between us and ConvertKit. So we'll let you know, but definitely for like the next few days, I mean, there's no reason it wouldn't work all the time.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they know that.
I will reach out to them before I send the email. That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Clarified in there. But yeah, the free 30-day trial is great. If you've even been thinking about it, I highly recommend it. They don't offer free trials on their site. You can only get it through situations like this, where ConvertKit has created a special link for everyone. So highly recommend it and playing around with it to see if you would be interested. But if you have any other questions, let Lauren know. I'm definitely going to review some of these questions and maybe write some blog posts about some of them. And yeah, we may have to talk about ConvertKit more at another time.
I really enjoyed it. Hope that you all have enjoyed it too. Also in the comments, Angela asked about Freelance Academy. Getting final details together, and I'll be sending out more information about that soon, so stay tuned. Speaking about launches and courses and all that great stuff, next week's Ellechat, I'm going to be talking about 11 ways to create hype for a new launch.
Oh, I love that. I'll be there because I need that.
Yes, and some of them are super simple. So I'm excited to walk through all of those ways with you all next week. Sorry, this is my cat. Told you it's really into but anyway, thank you guys again for joining in. I hope to see you in another Ellechat soon, and I hope that you have fun playing around with ConvertKit and find it useful for your business. Have a great afternoon, and I will see you next Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you guys.